The Stack. People, Business, Technology. With Dan Tomaszewski of Everything MSP.
Hello, everybody. Dan Tomaszewski here with Everything MSP. Welcome to another episode of The Stack, where we focus on people, business, and technology. So we are here today at PAX 8, and a very exciting event. I have Lyndsey Hoffman here with me with
Nexus Tech.
Nexus Tech.
Yeah.
I just had a like a senior moment.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I just lost it.
I gotcha.
So yeah. And so, what do you think about the event?
It's been great. I think there's a ton of conversation around innovation, what's coming next. Love the robots, the robot dogs running around. I'm like, how can you not?
Yeah.
So it's been fun, and just the buzz of community and getting to connect with your peers and those that support your business.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
That's awesome. Now, Nexus Tech is a premier PAX 8 partner.
Yeah.
Now, there's a special term for that.
Yeah, so we sit in the galactic tier,
Okay.
which is the very, very top of that. We continue to grow and push ourselves, but definitely in that strategic arm where we take advantage of all the things that are in the sequence stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, that means a lot, right? On so many levels. It means a lot as far as what you've done as far as your relationship with PAX 8.
Yeah.
But it means a lot to your MSP too, right?
100%. Yeah, it's all about partnership. And I think, there's a better together story with everything that PAX 8 does in this space. We have a very large Microsoft business to them, but additional vendors as well. And I think it's one of those where, with all the additional support layers from just our account teams to academy to, the boot camps and events like this, it really drives an ecosystem where it supports us in various areas of our business where we have the ability to scale and meet our customers where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, so there's many things that differentiate PAX 8. What's one thing that stands out?
I think the biggest is they're always innovating. I think there's, one of the things that we're hearing from is, the new term MIP. They're labeling out, and seeding in the channel what the next 2, 5, and 10 years look like. And so I think that's a big one for me is watching the evolution of the marketplace, how they continue to grow in the space is organic, but it's growing. It's needing us.
So let's talk about Nexus Tech. You tell us a little bit about the size of your organization, what kind of clients you serve, and so on.
Yeah, sure. So Nexus Tech is a leading MSP in North America. We've been around for a handful of decades. So we started very heavily in services. So that's traditional managed service provider, supporting migration and all those fun workloads. Today, I think we're really, with that new MIP term, we're in that space already, doing a lot of work with AI consultation. We also have a new proprietary software platform for AI called Nexus Tech Secure AI Platform. So consulting can work in the mid-sized enterprise space as well as in that niche SMB.
Yeah.
So that's our bread and butter, and where we started was with SMB, but we continue to grow up markets with the larger customers.
So when you take a look at the difference between enterprise and SMB, I mean, clearly there are some things that are obviously different as far as the type of support you provide, but in some regards, are they the same?
I think so. I think it's just finding the right tools that fit them. Okay. And I think that now, especially the things that PAX 8's coming out with, the things that Microsoft's starting to transition, they're really noticing that the SMB is the core of really all business. Everybody starts as an SMB at some point in time in their growth. But I think, too, SMB has the ability to be a little bit more agile. Yep. When you go with an enterprise business, it's moving an 800-pound gorilla. Yeah. So sometimes, I look at the SMB are the ones that they're the cutting edge. They're the ones that are going to potentially kind of up market, especially with what's going on with AI and, agentic AI, especially in those assistant space. I think that the SMB really has an opportunity to compete with enterprise in the near future.
Yeah, and I do believe they're are willing to be a little bit more of a risk taker in some regards. Now, you would think that the enterprise, they've got more money and they're willing to take that risk, but the smaller companies, they really need to compete better, compete harder, and by taking some of those risks, it allows them to differentiate themselves.
Yeah, 100%. Completely.
Yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that have been announced this week. Lots of things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
MIP. Let's talk about MIP.
I want to brand ourselves. My CEO may come knock at me and say, Lyndsey, how dare you? But I think Nexus Tech is one of those MIPs. They say get to the market first. I think it is the new wave, and those that are getting behind AI and, that next level and that next evolution of what this ecosystem of technology looks like.
Right.
That MIP, I think, is going to be the leading industry marker, and it's already here.
Right.
It's not happening in 6 months. It's not going to show up a year from now.
Yeah.
It's happening right now. And I love that Pax8's already coined that term and getting out to the market.
Right. I mean, so Scott's keynote yesterday.
Yes, I know they're all running together, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say Scott's keynote a few days ago.
Yeah.
It's, we're day 2 already.
Yep.
But he articulated the vision of where AI is going to a level so far beyond what I think many think AI is.
Yeah.
Right. It's beyond selling Copilot licenses, which is still important.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also beyond, our line of business is adding some level of time with,
Yes.
which in some regards, what they're adding is very, very low level that, may not be something that we as MSPs need to get involved in.
Yeah.
So what was your takeaway from this presentation as far as where we're going?
Those different angles from Scott's standpoint of the innovation and where that leads. I think the biggest that I learned is that it's not going to replace us as humans. And I think Libby hit on this as well in your session is it's not about replacing the human. It's about working together.
Right.
It's about man and machine. And I know, there's a ton of movies that have come out about that. And the scariness of all of it, I think we need to remove that fear and instead lead with curiosity. And I think that's what I got from every one of those conversations around what the innovation in the next set of future looks like in this space. Be curious, dream a little, unlock the capabilities, because you never know how potentially not only you're going to impact yourself or your business or your day to day, but how are you going to impact the entire channel?
Right.
All MSPs, the way that they operate in the future, in your customers and their experience. So I think it's one of those that's going to snowball. I think very quickly, especially coming out of Pax8 Beyond. Every conversation I'm having at lunch and, at receptions, and as we have this amazing vendor hall, it's one of those that conversation comes up all the time of what are you doing and how are you going to? So the wheels are turning, which is really, really exciting. I think the other thing I'm really excited about is seeing that Pax8 standing behind that by putting AI into their own platform.
Yeah.
So what Libby talks about today and having that ability, I was like, we see the future.
Talking about which licenses are coming up for renewal in the next 30 days, and having it drop that out there.
Yeah.
Can you think of other things that you would leverage?
Yeah, I think the upsell cross sell, but I think opportunity explorer as well is one of those where sometimes you get Microsoft terms, Microsoft Gal, cloud ascent data, right? Propensity data from lots of different vendors. I think having it in one place and the fact that it's inside of the marketplace really empowers us to not have to, do you have a data warehouse? Do you have your own Power BI reports? How do you kind of read all these things together? The Pax8's removed that complexity and given us a step ahead. So I think it's one that not only renewals, I think we look at, are they in the right stack? As a business may grow, they may have a licensing or SKU model that's built on their tech stack that isn't going to support them when they're 50 more or 100 more employees down the road. And so I think for us, it empowers our salespeople to be very intuitive, ahead of the game. They can see kind of the things that are coming and happening, but also gives them a simple way to go through that instead of, running through a whole bunch of lines in an Excel sheet, which I don't know about you, but that's one thing I'd love to avoid.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about MSPs that are focused on, really any size market, but there's a thought process of using it internally, but also leveraging this as a tool to help differentiate yourself and sell this to your clients, help them become better, help them become more efficient, more productive, more profitable, deliver a better client experience, and also more secure. But again, do we start with it internally before we start selling it? Do we eat our own dog food? Right? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think at Nexus Tech, we eat our own dog. We drink our own champagne. It's one that we started with a lot of the AI models and those agents internally.
Okay.
So we not only have in the MDF kind of, you pop up the sales for our sales reps, they can put a quote in, it'll give them back all of the things that they potentially get from Microsoft from a funding level, from upsell, cross-sell discounts, all of those. But we also have an agent that's built in the back end that runs a lot of our service stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a ticket automation. It's also identifying, early on and giving us better data to say, oh, we're noticing different trends with different products. That then that feedback even can now go to our vendors that can go to Pax8.
Yeah.
So that again, we're not just getting better, the vendors, the products are getting better, and the customer experience is getting better. So we started in that space again internally. You have to use it and remove the fear. And I think too, once you get into it, you realize, wow, it's not about it's going to replace me.
Right.
It's going to empower me to move faster, to be more agile, to be able to, again, maybe give back more time so that you can be more strategic or fill in a gap that maybe AI can't fill in, which is the human aspect of connection, having conversations like this.
So once you've done this internally and you've identified how it's allowed you to do what you can do with it, what is the messaging that you deliver to your clients and your prospects?
So I think you have to start somewhere. I think that's the number one thing is there's a lot of customers that we talk to that feel like, okay, I've got to do this first, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And sometimes it's just really just having the conversation with your teams.
Yeah.
A lot of companies don't know where to start, or they want to automate everything and it's overwhelming. And so my biggest recommendation is start small, but also create like a little AI innovation group internally. Find a couple of power users that may be potentially using AI in the free time, or, maybe you have 2 or 3 people in your business that have a ChatGPT or a Gemini or a Copilot agent today, or that they're just using on their own to help and ask questions. And I think bringing those people together to say, okay, what are different operational things and maybe a little bit of noise in the business, and just dream state. If there's one thing that you could take off your desk a week, and for me, it was, identifying where sales funding came from Microsoft. I give myself 12 hours back a week by 1 inch. So imagine doing that over and over and over in your business and freeing that time up again to be more innovative, to think strategically. How do you build roadmaps to be able to fill in business outcomes instead of execution? So in my AI session yesterday, I shared it's the easiest way to kind of think about it without the tech is, you're making the sausage when you're in execution. This allows AI, what goes in it, and you're giving it the recipe, and then it's made to you. So you still have control and ownership over that. Remove the gear block and just and think of what life could really look like.
And the beauty is when you use it internally, it's so much easier to dream about how you can share that with your clients.
Oh yeah. And I think empathy too, because when you're internal, you have the trust of your coworkers that you can sometimes say, I don't know about that. I don't think I want it to do this for me, or I think it might be too biased if it does that.
Right.
And so I think too, by internally using it, you start to learn what some of the potential objections are going to be when it goes into other business, and you get to learn how you overcome them, but with experience.
Yeah. So let's use an example. An MSP is going to go out and do a technology business review. How do they, bring AI and automation in the conversation, and what does that conversation look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I recommend, just talking about things like that. Is there anything in your business today that you feel like is slowing you down?
Yeah.
And start from there and compile those things. It could be anything like service desk. My tickets are overflowing. My IT team can't keep up. Or maybe your sales agents. They can't read and keep up with all the updates and all the discounts that are coming from all these crazy hyperscalers, because Microsoft doesn't ever change anything, right? So with those, a little bit of never. So a little bit of scalability.
It's still beats, right?
Yes, 100%, right? So I'm like, one day it's this, the other it's that, and that's one of it too. It's just the acronyms, the language. To have something that allows you to keep up at the speed of light. It's unmatched, and so. I recommend that, like, just really thinking through what are those little moments, and little sometimes can be the big things.
Any parting words for MSPs when you take a look at the success that you guys have had? What's one nugget of information you would tell them they should focus on today?
Be curious.
Okay. Be
curious, and I think the biggest one when we started some of these agents, the first time around we popped them out, they weren't perfect.
Right.
This has been, and over weekly, and we continue to streamline and provide feedback to teams. And I think it's one of those that, again, just don't don't you want to go, oh man, that didn't work, I'm not going to do it again. Like, be curious. And some may work and some not, and that's totally okay. But I guarantee you, you're going to learn something along the way.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
And for all of our listeners out there, we really appreciate your time. Again, key thing here from Lyndsey is be curious. And the other thing I would just say is just do it. Just jump into it because tomorrow is a road to nowhere. Today is the time to do it. So with that being said, everybody, thank you for being here. Until next time, have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you for listening to The Stack.